Hello, everybody, and welcome to Euphoria, where we try to get a spotlight on people, on beautiful tabletop RPG creatives here in Europe and outside of the US. My name is Wasitum. I go by he, him. I will be your token French boy for the day, and I will guide these beautiful players through the game of Nibiru. It's a game made by Araukana Media, who are based in the UK, and it's a science fiction game about lost memories, which is also why you will notice that there is not a lot of information about our characters to begin with, so this will come up later. I will just very quickly get around the table to get them to introduce themselves, but not their characters just yet. Starting with Ran, which I am overly exaggerating because there are some names shenanigans.
Hi, my name is Ran. I am originally from Shanghai, China. I'm currently based in Brooklyn, New York. I use she, her pronouns, and I am pleased to be here.
Wonderful. Now for the other side, Ren.
Hi, I'm Ren, pronouns they, them. I'm a black non binary creative in London.
Great. Maddie.
Hello, yes, I am Maddie. My pronouns are they, them. I am a white non binary person with dark brown hair, wearing a brown shirt and a yellow cardigan. I am originally from Scotland, currently based in England, and I'm very excited. Nibiru is one of my favorite games.
Great. And finally, Lilith.
Hi, I'm Lilith. I'm originally from Germany, but currently based in Montreal, Canada, and pronouns she, her. I'm very pleased to be here and try Nibiru, first time playing this game.
Wonderful. In terms of content warning, very obviously there is going to be some stuff about lost memories and loss of identities, these kind of things. There shouldn't be anything too specific, but in case you feel uncomfortable, feel free to just step away for a bit. Your safety first, of course. All right. In that case, if everybody is ready, how about we step in? I would like to invite you all to close your eyes for a second. Your stories, all four of you, started the same way. The very first step was your first heartbeat. Very soft and calm, but at the same time very resolute. It's a strong heartbeat. Then came your first breath, just a very calm inhale and exhale, but it feels off for some reason. If it's your first breath, it's supposed to be something more violent, more new, but it's like your body has done it thousands of times before. It feels like a reflex to you. It's calm. And then, after a while, you finally opened your eyes, and for just a split second, you thought you didn't. For all you see is complete darkness. You feel something cold against your back. You're currently lying on your back, and when you open your eyes and look up, you see an endless expanse of nothing. This was your very first contact with the skyless world. If it wasn't for these very few and very faint little blinking lights here and there, you would have thought yourself blind, but no. There's machines around you, there's cables, there's a distinct smell, an atmosphere. It feels very irony. It's odd. But the main thing that really bothers you at this very first time is that you have no idea who you are. You do not remember your name. You do not remember what you look like. You do know how to move around, breathe, perhaps even talk. But beyond that, it's a blank. As your eyes completely open now, this is where your common denominator ends, because all of you had very different first experiences. I would like to go to Alethea. What did you wake up to? What does it look like around you at this very moment?
And gradually kind of unfold and blossoms into an aura of sepia in the sky. And then as she gradually shifts back up into the correct gravity, there is a long winding staircase in front of her going up. Yes. I think there is a sense of curiosity, and I think as I see each one of the strange faces, what I see is not the strangeness, but on each one of the individual faces, I find something that, like a mirror, like a plethora of mirror, reflects back onto something that is familiar.
All right. Would you ascend it? At the top of that staircase, you see a plethora of people just going about their day, just
It's an
doing their own
echo
thing,
that I
and
hear
all of you,
from
all of them turn around to look
them,
at you.
the voices of many
They seem
whispered,
surprised. They don't
repeated,
seem to know you.
echoing.
You seem
It comes to me
somewhat foreign
rather
to them,
than decided.
but not in a bad way. They feel like you're a new guest. How would you react to them? To all those new faces? Warmly? Coldly? Okay. The last question I would have for you is, did you or did they come up with your name? Alethea. Very well. The camera now shifts towards Yura. What environment did you wake up in?
It is a quaint, small, almost garden. There's not much growing here, but Yura is sitting and folding something in the cross. It is long white sheets, freshly cleaned, folding over and over again into tight squares. They put them to the side, and she takes another sheet. There are voices in a room behind her, but they're not speaking to her, so she doesn't pay them mind. She just continues the action, one, another, over, to the side, another. And then as the fifth sheet hits her fingers, she realizes there's a texture to it. She's been touching them all the while, but it's soft. She brings it up to her face, and it has a fresh scent to it. It's always had that scent, but she's never paid that much attention to it. The sheets begin to crumble and gain wrinkles in her fingers. And she finally looks at where she's sitting. She looks at what she's doing. She puts it down and stands. There's a voice that's calling out to her, but she can hardly pay attention to it because now she's looking at this near barren space that she's in, almost seeing it for the first time. Even though she's been here, she can count them. It's been 27 times. But this time, the 28th time, she pays attention to the odd colors of the patterns of shale and stone. They're beautiful. She thinks they're beautiful in a way. She's always seen them, but the colors never meant anything before. None of this meant anything before. What does it mean for it to mean something now?
And as these thoughts are just popping into your mind as you look at those sheets, you know you have seen them before, you know you have folded them, but the memory eludes you. The voices behind you are not exactly sure who they are from. They seem somewhat familiar, but you have no idea. And whenever they call onto you, it takes a few tries before you actually realize that they might be talking to you, but the name they're using is unfamiliar. But it was aimed at you enough for you to understand that your name might be Yura. We are now turning towards Feather. Where did you wake up?
Feather woke up in a cramped concrete cell. Every single surface is grey, bleak, utterly bare, apart from maybe a few scratches in one corner, possibly made by fingernails. There's a barred window high up, too high to reach, letting in some sickly light. And otherwise, there's only shadows. And Feather realizes that they've been curled up in a corner of this cell in fetal position, and their entire body is tense. They don't really remember why their body is tense, but it is. And the thing that's woken them up is some yelling further down the corridor, somewhere else in this building that they're in. They don't know who it is, where it's coming from, the layout of this place other than this small room that they're in. And they reach up to touch their hair, their kind of shaggy black hair that's just covered in grease and sweat. And they wait for something to happen, and nothing happens.
What gave you the name Feather? Was it you, or was it something else?
I think I gave it to myself. I think I saw something out of that distant Thai window, and it was a bird, and it resonated with me in some way. Perhaps it was because the bird was seemingly free, seemingly able to go wherever it pleased, or maybe because a feather drifts on the wind and goes wherever the wind blows it with no intention or agency of its own.
All right. Finally, we're turning ourselves towards Sahvarine. Where did you wake up?
So I wake up in a dark storage area. And now whether it's a storage container or a storage room is not entirely clear, but the walls are this kind of corrugated iron that's wavy on the sides. And there are boxes and cages all over the room. And getting up and walking around, the boxes seem to have at some point contained animals. Some of them have remains of nests. Some of them have scraps of fur or food left over. It seems that animals were housed here at some point. And there are metal boxes that some of them have whatever was on them scratched out. And the room feels very cold. I noticed that whatever I'm wearing feels inadequate in the room, and grab from one of the nests a piece of cloth to keep slightly warm as much as possible, and look around for some kind of out, some kind of exit.
When you found the exit, it seemed like a sliding door on the side of the container. And you slid it open. You ended up face to face with a man who was extremely confused about who you are and why you were here. And all you remember from that conversation is him insisting on, who are you? What are you doing here? Who are you? And at this moment, since you do not really know, you try to grasp whatever small snippet of information you can. And there's a sign behind that man, partially eroded, partially, erased. Just a few letters are left. You can barely read Sahatu variety nests, but the few letters that remain were Sahvarine.
So in a bit of a panic, when my eyes see that and I'm asked the name, there's the hesitation. Sahvarine. My name is Sahvarine.
He looked at you like you said something out of place, as if it was supposed to answer all the questions. And you spent quite a lot of time trying to figure out exactly what happened, but neither you or him had any answers. From that point on, all four of you had a very similar experience. You ended up talking to people, meeting new places, but all of them seemed a little bit wary of you. The fact that you were missing your identity, your whole memories, some people started to refer to you as vagabonds. And every time that word was uttered, you were met with some harsh looks. You ended up learning that vagabonds are a sort of a mystery here on Nibiru, the skyless world. People who do not know who they are, who they were, but they have been people, perhaps many people. Which is why vagabonds tend to stick together, find each other, before people with less noble intentions find them. Which is why over time, during your travels, you ended up meeting other vagabonds. Those people we can see today. And trying to hide as much as possible who you are, you travel together. Our story is a few months after your awakening. You now already know each other, you travel together, and you're currently on a transport unit. This absolutely gigantic machine, tubular in shape, but with legs akin to a bull. It always walks so slowly, but so rhythmically. And a few people that you're traveling with are merchants. They have stocks of various goods, various pieces of machinery. Where you are right now is a land covered in cables. It looks like a jungle. But none of you have really seen a jungle before, but that's what it reminds you of. As the transport is having one of its scheduled stops, the chief of the whole convoy comes to you, one called Hakir. All right, everybody, time to get some food. Get the shears. We got some mushrooms to pick up. Would some of you help out with the food fetching or more with the maintenance? How would you act in that convoy to make yourself useful, if any?
I think that Feather would try and be as helpful as possible and kind of relish in the active movement, the exertion of collecting these mushrooms, the wide open space. They're not really sure why this is so joyful for them, but it is a freeing experience.
As such, I think that they would have probably dispatched you to be a sort of a scout for the whole party, trying to figure out where you can find those mushrooms. Could you roll me something to try to see what you find?
Sure. No successes.
You look around, and the problem with the skyless world is how dark everything can be sometimes. The only thing that really catch your eye is a little bit of movement in a nearby bush. There is a soft noise. But the moment you realize and turn around, you just push to the side a big wrench that you had with you that just crumbles to the ground. It goes clunk, 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 clunk. And whatever noise was in the bush just darts away. The rest of you would have noticed that. Well, is there something you would like to do? Or not? You don't have to.
I think Sahvarine would have gone out for the mushrooms as well, taking a strange kind of joy in this idea of being useful in a way that's outdoors and physical, and also with this curiosity of finding these new things, finding the mushrooms, and deciding if they're edible or not. Like this, there's this sort of very childlike wonder and curiosity about it. And at times, Sahvarine kind of follows Feather around like a puppy.
Then you would have been in the very first people to notice Feather spooking something out. Whatever was in the bush is currently running away from you. Are you trying to catch it back, or just look at what's going on?
I think the initial reaction is very much the cat reaction to when there's a loud noise, which is the freeze. So there's very much that initial reaction, but then eyes following whatever has been running away. If it is at a speed that I think I can catch, I do run after it.
It seems catchable, but I would like you to roll something to see if you could actually make it. Okay, 1 success.
Okay.
You are running as fast as your lungs push you, and the moment it gets out of the bush, you start to notice these sort of red dots, these red hints of color on it, and you start to dash and tackle it to the ground. You hear this very animalistic noise as you tackle it to the ground, and you see a sheep or sheep-like creature. It is, however, covered in fungus. This is what it looks like. What you have in front of you, all the people in the convoy look at you like, nice find. We needed some arrows here. Wonderful. Everybody get the shears? Thank you. You see that the sheep is trying to remain as calm as possible, trying to look as non-threatening as possible. And at first, when you see those people getting towards the sheep with shears, you start to have a moment of fear. Like, what are they going to do to that sheep? But no, it doesn't struggle that much. It's as if you were removing wool from it. But in lieu of wool is some absolutely deliciously smelling fungus. Beautiful mushrooms. With what you have caught right now, you have enough to feed the whole convoy for today. This was a good find. Not necessarily on purpose, but it was a good find. When you guys come back with your haul, you have somebody who is already trying to prepare the stew, heating some water, preparing for the mushrooms to boil, and the smell is absolutely divine. Mind you, this is probably the only smell you have smelled since you woke up, because mushrooms are the base of your food supplies, unfortunately. Is that something you would like to do during dinner, or just prepare for the rest of the trip?
Question.
Yes.
Are we keeping the Aru?
That's a good question. Would you like to?
I would love to.
This could probably be done. The convoy is slow enough for the arrows to follow, so you could probably have an endless supplies of mushrooms with you.
Sahvarine definitely wants to keep the Aru, and certainly after any kind of supper goes back to see if she can feed it, and kind of feels this affinity for the animal. Just enjoys spending time and like petting it, or like giving it scritches behind the ears or whatever it prefers.
Would you go so far as to name it?
Oh, definitely.
What would you name it?
Fun guy.
Fair enough. Alethea, during the supper, you notice that the navigator, a very young woman, probably not even in her 20s, she goes by the name of Sava, and she's starting to cough very strongly. Everybody start to laugh it out as if, she just, wrong pipe situation. But I would think that you were close enough to notice that this seems to be harsher, a little bit stronger than it should be. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
You're all right. I think she will almost involuntarily start to cough alongside of her. And as she looks at this young girl, there's almost an image that comes over her. She sees herself in this other person. She sees herself wearing pigtails, and swallow something down the wrong pipe, but then it's not, it's something else. And so the cough comes like a wave, like a ship in a storm, and she just gets closer to her to try to seek out what's wrong with her, but also what's wrong with herself.
All right. I would like you to roll something, or if you want, trigger a memory.
I'll trigger a memory.
All right. Would that be a good or a bad one?
I think
It has to be a bad one since you don't really have memory points to spend.
Is it a bad one?
It has to be. To get
Okay.
good ones, you're going to have to spend some points.
Sure.
But you get to decide how bad it is.
I see two girls. And each of her memories always comes. It starts with music. It starts with a round of the sound of drums again, and she starts to hear the humming of a song, a different voice, not her own voice. But then one becomes two, and it kind of goes like. Go row the boat to safer ground, but don't you know we're stronger now? My heart still beats, and my skin still feels, my lungs still breathe, my mind still fears. But it's not a happy song. It's desperate. It's one sister singing to another, as one of them is gasping for air, sick from the cold in the woods, lost, couldn't find their way home. The memory, the immediate recollection of the savory aroma of the mushroom dinner kind of evaporates, and is taken over by this thick fog of fear, of loss, of concern over something one so deeply, deeply love, the life, the safety, and the well-being of a sibling.
All right. Would this get you a -1 or -2? This memory will get you a penalty whenever it is about resisting poison or illness. It's basically your constitution.
Mm-hmm.
Would it be a -1 or 2?
Let's go with 2. Why not? Let's
All right.
go hard from the get-go. Why not?
All right. So I will let you write down your memory and the -2 to constitution as a general term, and you earn yourself 3 more memory points for later.
Okay.
But as this memory comes washing over you, you try to figure out exactly what is happening with her, and it's hard to pinpoint. The coughing seems to be different. It's not something about choking. It's not something about trying to catch their breath. It seems to be something deeper, something ill, something corrupted, but you cannot really put your finger on it. Meanwhile, Yura, you do notice your fellow vagabond just walking away, trying to follow Sava, trying to figure out what's going on. Would you remain with the group? Would you follow Aletheia? What would you do?
So, I'm so sorry. It's Aletheia has stayed and...
No, she has joined Sava to try to see why they started coughing.
Oh, okay. All right. Yura will go over to see what is causing the ruckus.
Would you try to ascertain what caused it? What caused the cough? If so, I would like a roll.
Yes, I think they will.
Okay, roll me something and let's see how it goes. One success.
success.
Okay. As you look at both of them, the coughing from Alethea, you don't really understand where it comes from. Doesn't seem to be a logical cause for it. It seems to be almost as mimicking what's going on with Sava. On Sava, however, when you look at her, there seems to be some darker veins all across her neck, just creeping up a little bit. Definitely something that you have never encountered before, but something ominous.
Ira will gently place her hand along the side of Sava's neck, cradling her face in the other hand, just so the tilting of the head isn't too severe.
Mm-hmm.
There is something to be seen here, though I'm not certain what it is.
What do you mean? What is it?
There are lines. They match your veins, but they are dark.
There's a strong moment of panic from Sava right now. She's rushing towards, like, she's basically like removing your grasp on her and going towards the convoy to any shiny piece of metal she can find to try to look at what the lines are.
I think Yura still is trying to have a hand on her. Ease, wait. Don't rush. If it is in your blood, it will move faster.
Her eyes just widen and she starts to freeze. Not ease for sure, but freeze, clearly. What is this? What is happening? Have you seen that before?
No, not quite, but yes, there may be someone among the caravan who has and can help you. Let me find out. Please sit and try not to worry too much.
Right. Yeah, sure. Because that's obviously not spooky at all. Sure. She sits down, kind of like fetal position, but upright, and she's just like, okay, calm down.
I think
Everything's okay.
Alethea is going to look at. I'm sorry, I can't remember anyone's names. Ren's character's name. Yura? Yura. Oh, yes. Very gratefully looking at Yura. And I think what Yura sees is someone they do not recognize. Alethea looks like someone else, like someone who came from the past. Like the expression is like if Sava would have had an older sister, that's what Alethea looks like right now, vaguely. And then she will sit down next to Sava and starts to hum a song to try to comfort her, for her to sit still.
All right. Would you like to roll to try to see how much you can comfort her?
Sure. What? Just roll
a normal
3
roll,
die?
unless you have a memory suddenly popping up. It's up to you.
Nah, not yet.
Mm-hmm.
Let's.
Okay, 2 successes.
Hey.
There is something about the tone of your voice that feels kind of sisterly to her, and she starts to kind of sing with you a little bit. Not necessarily sing, but at least hum something that seems to be easing her a little bit. Yura, as you go back to the convoy while everything is happening, the captain is just looking at you like, everything okay?
Not exactly. Sava, it seems, has potentially contracted something. There are dark veins spreading down her neck or up her neck. I couldn't quite tell the direction, but they are there, and she is coughing, though she has stopped.
Everybody starts to look at their bowl of mushrooms and to look at each other's necks right now. None of them seem to have right now the dark lines, so it doesn't seem to be Aru related. They
Just to make sure,
Mhm.
Sahvarine does check Fun Guy's neck as well.
He's absolutely okay. He's a little bit nervous because it's a lot of new people all at the same time, but he's looking at you with a little bit of peace in his eyes, going, "Ah." But he seems to be doing okay. If anything, you already see a few mushrooms growing back already. Very slowly, but still growth. A lot of the people of the convoy are starting to move to Sava and immediately start to join with Elethea and try to comfort her. And it's gonna be okay. We're gonna figure it out. The captain, you see, is already unfolding this mat, this device you have seen so far that is a mix of the various electronics you have found on Nibiru and a sort of fungal weave that has been crafted. And he starts to look at a map of the region. All right, there is a small village just a few clicks this way. Maybe they have a doctor or some medicine. We should probably do a little detour and check that out, if that's okay with everybody. Okay. Sava, you rest. You don't do shit while we're going there. Is that clear? Very clearly agreeing. And they all lift her up and try to be as gentle as they can with her. And she ends up going towards the main tank, which is something you have seen before from people who are not exactly used to the various gravities all around Nibiru's. And having this sort of tank with respirators in it helps basically gradually get used to the gravity. But in her case, it's mostly about putting her in an environment with as little stress as possible. She gets to the littlest close she can, puts the respirator on, and gets under the water. As soon as the hatch is closed, everybody is starting to look way more worried. You see that they were all keeping a brave face as long as she could see them, but right now they're all worried. All right, we will go first thing in the morning, and hopefully they have somebody. Does any of you have any notion of, what this illness could be? I see. Well, then in that case, it's all the more urgent. Everybody, pack your things. We leave at first lights. Everybody's already starting to pack. The captain just stops by you, Sahvarine, and says, "Don't let your new friend slow us down, please. All right?"
I won't.
You see that he's trying to look very tough, but he cannot hold doing a few screeches onto the sheep's neck as he walks by.
If he looks nervous as he's scritching Fun Guy, I'm going to run my hand over his very gently in an attempt to quieten the nerves and stop it from trembling.
Okay. That works. There is something of a soothing presence to you right now that really helps with the situation. Do you have anything you want to do before first light, or we can skip to that?
Is it possible to I think Alethea will stay with Sava as she rests or attempting to rest. And I would love to trigger a memory
please
if
do.
possible. As she as soon as Sava finally falls asleep, will start to wander the surrounding area of the woods. And I just spent 1 memory point to do it, right?
To get a positive memory, you would have to spend 2 memory points to get a +1, or 3 memory points to get a +2. You currently have 3 at your disposal.
Right. So I have to spend 2 points to trigger a good memory?
Yes. Which will grant you a +1 to whatever action you were trying to attempt. So what exactly are you trying to do that triggered that memory?
I think she is trying to pick up different herbs, different plants in the woods. And you see her walk underneath the canopy, under the moonlight and the stars. I'm assuming there is moonlight and stars. I'm not really sure what the environment is.
There isn't, unfortunately. The closest you can find from moonlight and stars are just blinking lights from various machines constituting the station.
I think in that case, it's more so when Alethea is walking through it, what she sees is the moonlight and starlight, even though it is the blinking machinery and things like that. You see the reflection of her skin as well. There is this glint of like the kind of glint you would see on the surface of porcelain or wood, grains that reflects the light from the machinery. But her eyes kind of glance left and right and pick up different plants. And the memory she kind of find herself walking through is that of a doctor who is trying to figure out a way to treat illness when there is no supply. But the land provides when one can be resourceful. So she is trying to, she remembers the idea of using poison to go against poison, and using something that is almost lethal otherwise to treat illness. So that's what she's trying to do.
Okay. In that case, you can write yourself down a memory. You would get a +1 to, I would say, handling chemicals, handling poisons and mixtures and such. As you do so, you do find not necessarily something that would cure her, as you're not exactly sure what is happening to Sava, but something that at the very least would ease her, help her sleep, help her relax, and if there would be any pain, to ease the pain as well. Feather, what did you do while all of this was happening?
I think that Feather was kind of perching on the vehicle at the kind of the edge of proceedings, just sort of watching intently, looking at the people coming and going, trying to think of something supportive to say or something to do, and coming up short. They feel a bit at sea with so many people around. They liked it when they were out, sort of striding through the sort of cable jungle on their own. But yeah, while there is a comfort to having people around, because that means that if any danger comes, there are people to help. But trying to figure out how to actually relate to these people is something that they can't quite muster at the moment.
While you're just perching and looking at everything that's happening, you have this immediate moment of as you hear a voice behind you going, "Pretty spooky, huh?" And we turn around, you see Mikkel. He is this very, very small guy. Honestly, he basically arrives here to you, but he's probably the strongest in the convoy. But he's also kind of an oddball, he really tries to stay on the side, and you probably ended up stepping on his own perch at the moment.
What do you mean spooky? The illness?
I mean, you've seen the line. I don't know what's going on with her, but that's not normal.
I don't really know what's normal, but I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, fair enough. You've never been sick like that, I hope?
I don't think so. And then I'd like to trigger a memory.
Okay. What would be the action triggering the memory exactly?
I think just sort of the action would be Yeah, just kind of, I think, sort of small talk, trying to small talk is the action that is triggering this. And I think the memory is Feather is in this kind of compound with, the kind of diamond pattern wire fencing all around, sort of higher than 5 people to make sure that no one can get over it. And there are a bunch of people sort of aimlessly strolling around this compound. This is clearly some kind of exercise for people who do not get to exercise very often. And they see someone across the compound, and they're clearly having a bad time. They're clearly having some kind of reaction that Feather doesn't understand. And so they go over and try and say something comforting, say something nice, even just say something boring to distract them. And as soon as they go over, this person who is in some kind of traumatic state just yells at them to go away.
All right. How traumatic is that memory? Is it a -1 or -2 to small talk?
I think it's a -1.
-1, okay. So get yourself some memory points, 2 memory points to be precise. And as you're washed over with that memory, the Mikhail just comes to you is like, "You're weird, you know? Sorry, was that rash? I'm used to peopling."
Me neither. I think most people are weird, but I think I'm definitely weird.
Right? I mean, they don't realize that they're weird. I mean, see, the convoy makes sense. The machine makes sense. Something is broken, I fix it, it makes sense. But then people get broken and there's no fixing, and I hate that.
Yeah. It's just so complicated. There's just too many like moving parts and parts you can't even see, parts inside people's heads, and they expect you to know what's going on, but sometimes I just don't.
I know. That's why I try to say what I have in my head to try to make sure that it's not confusing for anybody, and then they get mad. I don't understand. It's just, I mean, I need a job, so it's worth putting up with those goofballs.
Yeah. I'm traveling with a few people, and I hope I can get to know them a bit better, but I don't know if I can. I'll try though.
Well, if at some point it's a bit too much, you need like a place to lay low or something. There's a trap under the convoy. Nobody knows that there is some space here. You can go there and just relax. Unless I'm here, in which case you get the hell off.
Cool.
Fair
I
enough?
understand. Yeah, deal.
Cool. He goes to shake your hand, and as soon as he's done, he's like, "Okay, now get the hell off. That's my place."
No problem. And yeah, awkwardly shuffle off.
He then perches where you were perching and starts to look around, sort of like a watchtower watching over everything. And it looks almost ominous from the bottom, but now that you talk to the guy, it's a different feeling for some reason. Night comes, as much as night can happen in a sky without sun or stars. But whenever what they call first light, which is basically turning on the convoy after resting a bit, everybody wakes up. Sava clearly had a sleep. Not necessarily the most resting, but at least she gathered some strength. And you see the captain already starting to move the convoy in a direction that is clearly off path. So the trip to the next village is going to be slightly rough. So up to you to see if you would like to stay within the transport unit or on the side. What would be your travel arrangements?
I think Feather would want to stay on the transport unit.
So would Sahvarine.
Okay. What about you guys?
Would stay on the side, I suppose.
Sort of guarding the convoy as it goes further. Alethea?
I think she would. She's curious. She wants to go wherever that is going to allow her to meet, or rather, like, reflect upon more people. And somehow, like, the search for medicine is still on. So, whatever that might be, she'll be there.
Okay, so you'll probably be on the front with the few scouts who are. You see that they have these sort of machetes that are electrified to help cut through some various wirings and trunks of machineries, and that these are a few flashes of light as they just stab and just bash all those things, and that help you figure out a little bit of your surroundings. And then you see a light a little bit further that seems to flutter away a little bit. You recognize something. You recognize an animal, which a lot of people are calling pulsewing, but in the old tongue they are called sahatus. These things are a very good omen because usually they flutter near some very tasty mushrooms and very peaceful places. They're usually used by a lot of farmers to figure out exactly where they can find some interesting mushrooms. But this one is flying a little bit weird. I would like you to roll something to try to ascertain what is odd about that. It's hard to put your finger on.
Okay. Just normal roll?
Normal roll, unless you have something that can help you. I don't believe you do.
I don't think so.
No. Great, 2 successes. The pulsewing is this very bright animal usually, but the feathers or feather-like features seem to be darker on this one. Some feathers are fully black, and you start to notice that there seems to be the same kind of black veins creeping up on the animal's neck. It seems to be getting weaker as it flies away.
I think as Alethea try to approach the bird, the creature, the animal, her own movement starts to resemble that of a bird. The limb starts to move a little bit more kind of in this circular motion rather than human-like. And as she kind of runs over, the feet kind of goes backwards and almost coils up. And yeah, she the running motion resembles that of a flight. She tries to catch up to the bird and try to either help or study or observe and see if there is anything she can do to help or anything she can learn so that she can help the others back at the convoy.
Okay. First of all, when you start running like that, there is a very clear gasp coming from the other scouts who were not expecting that kind of run from a person. A quick glance behind you shows them mouth aghast and just, what the hell is going on? But you just flutter away. And just following that fluttering around, that pulsewing around, it seems to lead you towards a place where you hear some noises, voices, movement, people. You're clearly approaching a village. Would you let the others know, or would you just continue to follow the bird?
Are there, like, if the others are close by, she will return in a voice that sounds more like bird call. will shout to the others that she has found a village, and maybe the Flutterwings could help us find out what's wrong with the Black Veins. But the sound, the voice they hear would be unlike Alethea, more like melodic, resembling that of a bird call, but not necessarily entirely chirping and whistling.
Okay. The scouts immediately scatter. One of them is immediately following you and trying to follow your directions and your instructions. The other one is running back to the convoy to try to let everybody know. The third one, however, kind of stays in place and gives you this sort of glance that seems confused and wanting to know more. He's not exactly sure what your deal is, but he's pretty sure that there is a deal to find. So he seems to be a little bit suspicious. The rest of you see one of the scout coming back. Okay, so your buddy has found something just over there. Just right. Just follow me. Follow me. The transport unit turns, continue its endless walk, crushing some trunks as it moves along. All of you who are inside the transport unit are just like shaking everybody everywhere to the side. It's a rough trek. But when everything is calming down, what Alethea would have seen a bit before you, but now you get to witness it, is a whole village that seems to have been dug into the ground. The whole village is probably 10 meters lower than where you are right now, as if there was a sort of crater that they settled in. You see various staircases dug into the machine, a few ladders that seem to have been built from pieces found everywhere, some scraps from everywhere, and probably 100 or so people. The transport unit will not be able to get down there. You might, however. Would you?
Yeah.
Would you guys follow Alethea?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Getting into the village, you see that there is not a lot of very young people. Most of them are probably in their mid-40s, but all of them seem to have this sort of morosity in their looks. They seem to be walking slowly, with difficulties, and many of them have the marks on their necks. To the side, there's an old, very, very old guy, probably the oldest you've ever witnessed so far. He has this sort of beard that doesn't go very deep, but the hair itself, or whatever is left of his hair, goes down to his hips. Newcomers here? That's new. We're not used to that around here.
We've got someone in our convoy who has similar marks on their neck to some of your people.
My condolences.
Do you know what they are? What they mean?
Well, what they mean is that you're probably gonna have a funeral soon, but beyond that, it's anyone's guess. You might want to talk to the chief. He might be with more information than I do. I'm sorry if I'm not joining you. And you see that as he just lifts his arm, the veins not only are on his neck, but all around his arm, they have reached his face to the point where part of his eye is also black. Over there, can't miss it. Big house, big people.
Thank you. Is there anything we can do to help? Anything we can fetch you?
He lifts a bottle of what definitely smells like very strong alcohol. I have all the medicine I need, thank you.
Oh, okay.
Maybe if you have a prayer to spend, feel free to do so.
Of course. And I kind of look around at the others and gesture with my head towards the chief's house.
I would like to trigger another bad memory.
Please do. What would be the action that triggers it?
I think when he said if you have a prayer, you can speak a prayer for him. I think Alethea is going to she just speaks up in this really like a elderly woman's voice comes out of her mouth, and you hear her say, "Into your hands, O Lord, we humbly entrust our brothers and sisters. In this life you embrace them with your tender love. Deliver them now from every evil and bid them eternal rest." And then she kind of shake her head, and what she sees around her is no longer this village, but rather a village after a war. There is carnage and ruins and scorched structure everywhere. The clothing of these people seems different from her. There is more organic materials, and people are carrying swords and scattered about. And she sees herself wearing some vestment and is saying a prayer for the dead.
How traumatic is that memory?
Quite.
A -2 then. Okay, in that case you get yourself 3 memory points, and I would say that you get a -2 penalty whenever you are dealing with grieving people.
Okay.
When you utter this little piece of prayer, the man looks at you with a lot of anger in his eyes. You think that's funny? You think that's what we should be praying for? For us to die peacefully? Don't you think maybe we want to live instead?
Oh, I apologize. I do not know what I just said.
I can assure you she meant you no great offense. It is something that happens sometimes.
Does it now? Well, sorry for being short-fused. Death has this effect on people, I guess. Try to watch yourself just in case. Some people might be less patient than I am.
We appreciate your warning.
I would like to trigger a memory if I could.
Well, you could, yeah, absolutely. What action would trigger it?
So the rise in anger from this man and specifically the words of others might not be as patient as I am. So Sahvarine sees what feels like a very long time ago when she was very young. She feels like she was with others her age apprenticing for something, and a man who was not their mentor but kind of their keeper would get angry like that a lot, and every time the voice would raise there would be a terror from the students, from the apprentices, and this idea of others being less patient was always a threat that would keep them awake at night.
So how traumatic would that be?
I think quite.
Quite? A -2? You just have 3 memory points. I would say you get a -2 for dealing with angry people.
Sounds good.
As you guys walk towards the house that has been designated to you, you see a couple of guards in front of it. They don't seem to be very good at their job, or at the very least right now they don't seem to have enough energy to do their job correctly. They are leaning on what seems to be some sort of spear, and they just look at you going like, "Who are you guys? What are you doing here?"
We have someone in our convoy who perhaps has the same illness as your people, and we were told by someone, and I gesture over to the old man. We were to talk to the chief.
But you're not from here, are you?
No, we've never been here before.
Oh, by the gods, please follow me. He gestures to follow him. You can see that as he turns around, the lines have very clearly crept up his neck, on the back of his head. He opens the door, and what you see inside is a room that has been completely covered in some sort of plastic sheeting of sorts, semi-transparent. You can see shapes beyond it, but not necessarily features. Chief, I think it's spreading. And he turns to you for you to go a little bit closer to the tarp. And I suggest we get like a little break here and come back in a few minutes, if that's okay with you. From beyond the tarp, you can see a shape getting closer to you. It seems to be male in stature and somewhat large. You barely figure out any feature from them beyond a long set of dark hair. Except from that, it's very hard to make anything. You just hear their voice going, "What do they mean it is spreading?"
I think at this point, Feather is going to kind of shrink back and look to the others to take the lead in this one, because yeah, the authority of this figure is somewhat intimidating to Feather.
So,
Euro will step forward. Hello. We have someone in our convoy who is not a part of your group down here, who has become afflicted with this black thing. I'm not sure what it is, but you seem to have more information than the rest of us do.
I'm afraid so. Can somebody fetch them some chairs, please? Thank you. And almost immediately, people bring you places to sit. It has started around 2 months ago now. My husband was among the first afflicted and passed away shortly after. And at first we thought it was some sort of disease that we haven't encountered before, but it started to spread, and we're not exactly sure how or why. All we know is that none of the people who were afflicted recovered at the moment. We are now counting 170 dead.
I would like
That
to
is a
trigger
large number. Sorry. go ahead.
No, it's okay, please.
No, that's all Euro was going to say.
Almost half of our loved ones.
I would like to trigger another bad memory, if I may.
You may. What action would you attempt to trigger it?
So it's the mention of so many people catching it, this thing just spreading through the group, and all the tarps. This it's giving quarantine,
Mm-hmm.
and that is what it triggers for Sahvarine. So Sahvarine remembers again back in this house with other apprentices, being this young girl, surrounded by these figures of authority, and there is a disease running through the house that she's in, and there is quarantine. She's not afflicted, but everyone else around her is, and those who aren't dropping like flies get discarded for being sick in order to preserve the haleness of everyone else. And being one of the few unafflicted comes with this intense guilt of not being part of the group, but also not being able to help the ones that are afflicted and are being kicked out or passing away.
Okay. How traumatic would that memory be to you?
Be like 1 point, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, -1 penalty, so two memory points. And I would let you choose what that penalty applies to in that situation.
I think the penalty probably applies with the dealing with disease specifically.
Specifically with disease, okay.
Like handling or disease or injury or anything that has to do with handling that sort of thing. So opposite to Althea, essentially.
That makes sense.
I don't know if is it them -1?
-1, yes. It's a soft bad memory. The chief you can see that he's sort of slouching on his chair by now. He seems demoralized. Even though you cannot make any facial feature, you can sense the sadness in his voice. We are not sure what to do at this point. The council is considering moving away, and some of our scouts have already started to look in other places, but we are somewhat worried we would bring the disease with us.
I think seeing the chief kind of recede and a bit of the authority sort of die down with the sadness, Feather feels a bit more comfortable stepping forward, and I would like to trigger a positive memory.
Okay, what would that be?
I think that Feather is riding in some kind of vehicle with a lot of other people crammed in. It's clearly a case of as many people to fit into this vehicle at once. Everyone is handcuffed, and also has cuffs on their legs, which they don't really need to be because they're packed tightly together like sardines, but it's just like whoever is transporting these people is taking no chances. And Feather hears a wheezing from one of the people nearby, and they just instantly recognize that this is asthma. And so they know that they don't have any medication to hand and they can't do anything tangible, but they just kind of call out to this person, hey, it's okay, just slow your breathing. And they kind of talk them through getting out of this asthma attack as best they can. And so I think this memory is a positive memory for treating illness.
Treating illness? So would it be to reassure people or to actually treating the illness itself?
Yeah, I think it's possibly more diagnosing illness.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I would say that as you have this memory and you're trying to, figure out exactly what is happening and analyzing the whole discussion and everything, I will roll a d4. Please hold. You start to look towards Yura and notice that there is a hint of a black vein going on. From what you can see and from the sort of diagnosis you're trying to have, you seem to have caught that early, very early. Which also means that whatever caused it is probably not too far.
At this point, Feather won't mention this now, but absolutely plans to later, and will ask the chief, has there been any change in your environment around the time of the first illness? Any change in food or water or any new inhabitants of the village?
There has been, roughly when it started, we started to notice food getting a little bit more scarce. So we ended up having to go to alternative food sources, other kind of fungi, other kinds of animals, whatever we could find, really. But it seemed to all have originated when the food started to get scarce.
Interesting. Do you think that your food sources have been contaminated in some way?
Potentially. Or something has something else entered our environment. I'm not exactly sure. I'm the politician in my family. My husband was the hunter. I'm not fit for this, I'm afraid.
Could you perhaps tell us where you most often go to gather food? If we go and investigate that area, there might be answers there.
We usually go towards Suruptu. Not as far as the city, of course, but in that general direction. You know where it is. The convoy was basically heading that direction. It is a pretty large place with lots of people, but it is still quite a few kilometers away. But you get the general direction.
Thank you. If we discover anything, I'm sure we'll be able to send someone to tell you.
That would be greatly appreciated. I am sorry about the member of your convoy. Our thoughts are with them.
Thank you.
Now, I'm sorry to chase you away like this, but we have things to figure out and funerals to organize.
Of course.
Good luck. You see him bow his head and go further away to a point where you don't see his shape anymore.
Feather will start to head towards the outside and look around to see if the others are joining.
Yura will follow behind.
I was going to say, Sahvarine is back in puppy mode and following very closely to Feather.
I wonder what the purpose of the tarps are. They don't seem to help much.
I believe it's an attempt at quarantine. However misinformed or helpful it is, it's an attempt.
I wonder if it affected the food source first. That's why the food was dwindling here.
That would definitely make sense.
guards
suppose it's all
outside.
we can do.
Sorry, go on.
No, Euro was just saying, well, I suppose it's all we can do to go and inspect what they were feeding on.
I think that's the best course of action.
Okay. Would you let the convoy know before you go on your trek? Right now, they're awaiting any sort of update from what is happening to Sava.
I think Sahvarine would say that we should let them know. It's this... Sahvarine has this thing about asking permission. Like, feels the urge of not doing something without being allowed to do it first. And so the idea of just going off without telling someone feels doesn't sit too right. So Sahvarine would be like, no, we have to tell them.
Okay. Most of the people from the convoy were sitting on the side of the transport unit, very, very eagerly waiting for you to come back. You see that a lot of them are clearly more worried now that they have seen people in the village. And when they see you come back, all of them just go down to the ground, straighten up. So what's the news? What is happening?
It seems to be food source related. At least, maybe, we think.
Okay. But we're not from here. Where did Sava get that?
I'm not sure, but we're trying to find out. We want to explore what they might have taken.
Okay. We can't really leave the unit alone. There's a lot here.
Oh, that's fine. It'll just be a few of us.
Okay. Is that something we can do to help?
Maybe maybe a few provisions to make sure that we have what we need as we go.
Yeah, I guess I can do that, yeah.
Would you please closely monitor the people who have interacted with Sava?
Yes, of course. We are trying to limit that as much as possible. And right now, the only one who dares to speak with Sava is Mikkel. And, well, I'm getting the feeling that Sava would prefer to stay in the tank than get to interact with Mikkel. But at the very least, it keeps people away. Well,
make sure to keep an eye on Mikkel, too, that he's not getting in contact with too many others if he's in contact with Sava.
As a rule of thumb, we usually keep an eye on Mikkel to begin with, so that's not going to be an issue.
While this conversation is happening, Feather would like to take Yura aside and go to one of the, similarly to Sava, go to one of the shiny surfaces of the transport unit and gesture at the point where the veins are starting to get black.
What is it?
I think this is the beginning of the illness.
Oh. Does that mean I'm going to die?
I hope not. I think if we try our best to find what's causing it, then perhaps we can stop it.
And I think as Yura reaches up to touch the area that Feather has gestured to, it's going to trigger a bad memory.
Okay.
I think Yura is touching a hand to their neck, and then they feel a hand that is not theirs. It is patting their shoulder. They're much smaller in height now, but it's not as if they are young, just shorter. The person patting their shoulder just says, just a bit further out. We gotta get to the day's end, and then we'll clear this and we can go back. And they're pushed forward, and Yura, or whoever Yura is in this moment, scurries forward. The track wheels beneath them move and push. They see the land outlined before them. It's hard to move over the terrain, but they're still struggling forward. They're looking for something, but it is rocky and crumbling beneath them. It's easy for them to go, but the people stay behind. And there's a moment where they see something in the distance. It moves like a creature, loping and slender. And their gaze locks in on it, zooms in towards it, and they stop paying attention to where they're going. The shale beneath the metal splits apart. It digs in and then crumbles. There's a rumbling, and then more falls with them. They fall deep down beneath into a crevice. And some of the broken metal falls in on top of them. They can't move, and it's dark. They can vaguely hear, "Ah, shit." But then there's nothing else. They feel darkness closing in on their oculus. As it shrinks down, something is damaged. Something is leaking. They are alone as it gets dark and dark and darker still.
And how bad of memory is this for you?
I'd say in the present moment, pretty bad.
Okay. I will say that you get a -2 penalty whenever you cannot rely on your sight. But you get yourself 3 memory points. When you start to notice Yura just drifting away for a bit, there is something about her breath, the way that they are currently, as if their heart is beating a little bit faster. Very gently, you can see the darkness creeping a little bit further. Ever so slightly.
Is there something that you like to do to keep yourself calm, or something that you do that you enjoy? Sorry, it sounds strange. I'm not good at talking. I'd like to help you feel better emotionally, if not physically. That sounds very intimate. I'm sorry. This is going really badly. Can I help?
Yura focuses on the sound of your voice. It is the only thing anchoring them in this moment. And then they finally look towards you. I think it's... I think it will be all right. But I enjoy talking more than you do.
If talking helps, I can talk. And if at this point maybe the others have finished speaking to the rest of the convoy, and then Feather will say, maybe we can talk on the way to investigate.
It is darker in the jungle than I anticipated. I think talking would help.
Of course.
Very well. When you join back with the group, a few of the people of the convoy have gathered whatever tool could be useful to you. They have gathered these sort of machetes to help you navigate these through. You all have a gourd of water to accompany you. Beyond that, there is only a torch to try to keep some light with you, but it is a very faint one. What would you like to do from this point on?
Are the others aware that Yura is wanting to talk, or feels more comfortable talking?
I think Yura is, while not trying to keep it an active secret until you're a bit further away from the convoy, will say, as you're walking, I think it might be wise for all of you to stay a bit away from me, but maybe not too far. It's the thing has passed on to me, and so I am worried for you, but I would like your company in your voice if you would share it.
I don't mind. I'm here to listen. And I think you will hear that Alethea's voice changes again, and this time almost sounds like your own in a way. The timbre and the tone and everything matches your own, Yura, as she looks at you very calmly and will just sit down next to you, and doesn't look like she is gonna go anywhere farther than like conversation distance.
I would like to trigger a positive memory.
Mm-hmm.
At the mention, and when Yura says that they want company, the memory we go instead of being this young, very young person, Sahvarine is now a grown woman and is in a room with clients or customers around a table, and she's making conversation like it's an art and has a confidence about it, very much the confidence of someone who not only knows their stuff and has been trained in conversation, but the confidence of someone who knows they're good at this and this is what they do.
All right. How good of a memory is that?
I think it's a decent one. I think, what is it? How many points for memory? How does that work?
For a +1, it's 2 memory points. For a +2, 3, and for a +3, 5 points.
I think I'm going to spend 3 points on this one.
Okay, I would say you have a +2 bonus when you want to inspire confidence.
Okay.
Are you going towards the direction that has been given to you?
Yes.
Okay. The path is not comfortable. It is used. You see traces of footsteps here and there, people trying to either go hunt or gather. You're not exactly sure, but there is some passage here, clearly. After a while, there is something ominous about where you are, because you reach a point where all the cables seem to gather in a sort of dome, as if a canopy of trees would be on top of you, completely obfuscating whatever is on top of that. And you start to all have this very distinct feeling of being watched. Not exactly sure from what or from where, but you have this tingly feeling at the base of your neck that something or someone is watching you intensely.
Does whatever's watching feel animal, in the sense that, does it feel like it's more like the sentience of it?
Give me a roll for that to try to ascertain that.
Sure.
Hard to say. You're not even sure that somebody is watching you. It's just this tingly feeling, that's this a little bit of anxiety creeping all over you, and you're almost sure to hear a deep sort of rumbling, kind of like a growl. But the more you focus on it, the further it seems, so it's not very distinct.
Can I see any tracks or any traces that whatever's watching us might have left behind that I could follow?
Give me a roll for that. Also, don't forget, guys, that if you have a relevant memory, it can add you some dice. There are too many tracks with 0 successes for you to pinpoint exactly what could be giving you that impression. What you do notice is that the more you progress, the least human tracks there are. There are a few remains of dead animals here and there. You can clearly see some droppings from something that seems to be somewhat big. But except from that, no tracks to follow. And it's really odd, because where you see those remains or droppings, you would expect to see some tracks, but there are none, which leads you to believe that something large is also very sneaky right now.
Or it flies.
Or it flies. Either way, that's not necessarily good news. Would you just continue on? Or is there something you would do differently?
I think Feather would suggest looking for places that seem like good food sources, and to see if anything is wrong with those. So if there's like a patch of mushrooms, or if there's a bush with some kind of fruit on it, particularly in those areas, is there something amiss?
What I would say is that Oh, you're gone.
Oh, I was gonna follow Feather, and since I have some memories related to handling chemicals and plant-based things, just sort of test them out somehow and see what are the differences we can notice.
Absolutely. So give me a roll and include your bonus for that.
Okay.
One success. Yeah, there's definitely something odd about the few pulse wings that you can see here and there. There are quite a few. You can see 4 or 5 just fluttering around. All of them seem to have this darker shade. And the more you're progressing toward what seems to be a nest, the more now you start to really hear that sort of rumbling and growling. Something is getting way closer, and you can ascertain that it seems to be coming from your right.
Turns head, doesn't turn body to check what it is.
At first, all you see is darkness, various cables and the such, but 2 of the lights don't seem to be blinking. They seem to be staring at you. And something is getting closer, one paw after the other. What you see in front of you is what many people know as an Akilu, or the most common term, a lion. This is what it looks like. It is as tall as you are, but way longer. And it is staring at you. It's absolutely staring daggers and getting closer ever so slowly. All of you looking at where they are looking is clearly noticing now the shape getting closer.
Could I trigger a positive memory? I would like to lower myself on all fours and starts to purr at this lion. And the memory is she is not running, just trotting in a jungle and walking side by side with a beast of that size and understanding the sound you make to show understanding, to show kinship, I suppose. So the goal is to calm it down.
Okay. How good of a memory is it in terms of bonus?
I think it wasn't specifically triumphant. It was just sort of it's comforting, but
so a +1 memory seems about right.
Yeah, so two points.
Yeah, 2 memory points, yes. And I would say it applies when you're handling wild animals.
Okay.
All of you start to see Alethea just creeping up a little bit and starting to purr. It feels odd. It feels otherworldly in a way, but it also feels kind of soothing. And the lion seems to agree. You don't sense any aggressivity towards you right now, at the very least. It seems to be more curious than aggressive. And it continues getting closer, all the while staring into your eyes.
Does it look like...
Yes?
Does it look like the lion is also afflicted with whatever this is?
I would like you to roll me something to examine how it looks like.
Okay. I can see it at least. One success.
With one success, you notice that it doesn't have the black veins going on, but there is something about the demeanor. It seems to have a sort of aura. You're not exactly sure what it is. It seems like it's emanating something akin to a smoke or a mist, but something seems to be emanating from it that has this dark tone that could be reminiscent of the veins. You're not exactly sure, but something is emanating from it. You notice, guys, that it is currently not moving right now. It is staring clearly at Alethea. It is not moving. But the fact that it's not getting any closer gives you an odd feeling, as if it's something else. It's not trying to hunt you right now. It's trying to do something else.
I would like to trigger another positive memory.
Okay.
And assist Alethea with the lion. And the memory is so Sahvarine is back in a darkened room. It feels like the back room of a large palace or house of some kind. And there's a bit of a menagerie. Like a little bit like the room where she woke up in. It's full of different cages and enclosures for different animals, and she's spending her time in that room. She remembers spending her time in that room often and feeding the animals and having a kinship with these animals, feeling comfortable and petting them, feeding them, all these things. And so I think she has a bit of familiarity with animals as a result.
Okay. How good of a memory is that?
I have enough points to spend, I think. Yeah. 3 points to spend on it?
Yeah, so that would make a +2.
Yeah, let's do
and
that.
I would say that applies to animal behavior. And what you notice at this moment when this memory comes to you is that the reason it's not getting any further is that it's trying to prevent you from going behind it. It is protecting something. It is actively preventing you from going into that direction.
The Akilu doesn't want us to move further. I believe it might be protecting young or something, perhaps. There is something beyond that it doesn't want us to see.
Would we know what this lion eats or uses for sustenance that we could maybe kind of lure it away?
You know that these creatures are not very common in this area of the penumbra. It is the kind of animal that doesn't have the means to directly feed onto the machine, onto the Nibiru. They have to hunt other animals. And one of their most likely prey in this area would probably be the pulsewings. You could also try to sneak around if you so desire. It's also an option. Right now, it seems to be very much focused on Alethea.
In that case, I think Feather is going to use their experience of melting into the background and observing on the edge of things and try and edge around to see what this line is concealing.
Okay, give me a roll to see how discreet you're going to be.
Is it possible to assist?
I would say if there is a way for you to, try to grasp the attention of the lion, it would give them an additional die.
So I know the line is currently focused on Alethea, so I think Sahvarine would move behind Alethea and use the sounds that one typically uses to soothe a cat. So the little tongue clicks and the shushing to calm the lion. If it's close enough, maybe even dare a pet a stroke on the head.
It is close enough for a pet, but the moment your hand even extends towards him, the lion starts to growl so deeply.
I retract the hand. It's less of a pet and more of the presenting the hand, like one does to a cat. So very loose hand, and waiting for the lion to approach if it wants to, but that way keeping the attention in Alethea in my direction.
That sort of dance definitely catches their attention. Feder, I know you already had one success, but roll me an additional die. Maybe you get another success. That could be helpful. No, but still you get one success. You use that time to just sneak around a little bit and walk with as little sound as you can, making sure to avoid anything that could break or make any noise. And you go a little bit deeper into that sort of jungle. You start to hear a very deep breathing a few meters away. As you get closer, still remaining very, very obfuscated and very hidden, you see another lion, probably just as big, if not bigger, but very badly hurt, in the sense that you see a deep gash onto their side that seems to have been healing for a while, but that would probably need to heal a long time more in order to be completely okay.
Do I notice any signs of the illness on this wounded lion?
No sign of illness per se, but the same sort of billowing smoke around them. The same sort of aura that you already noticed on the first one.
I will creep backwards and try and go back to where the others are without disturbing either of the lions.
I would say you made your way there, you didn't stay long, so you know pretty much how to get back, so that shouldn't be an issue. You're back with the group. What do you do?
I sort of very gently say, there seems to be a wounded lion back there with a smoky aura like this one. I can't see any signs of veins, dark veins on it, though.
Has anyone...
Do you think the smoke, the injury from the lion, could have caused the illness, like a call for help, a warning?
Has anyone seen this kind of smoke before?
You haven't really had enough experience with lions to know that. It could be a defense mechanism you're not aware of. It wouldn't be the most surprising thing you've seen in Nibiru, but you don't really have any concrete experience with that yet. Yura, one thing you notice is that as time progresses, you're holding back a cough. And part of you is holding it to make sure that you don't disrupt the situation and make them unnecessarily angry. But you also start to notice that the sense of cough seems to be getting stronger and stronger.
In our equipment that we brought with us, would a simple first aid kit be something that we would have?
I would say so. At the very least, the bare necessities to make sure you could cover a wound, or probably some sutures. You know that Alethea also is quite efficient with some various mixtures, so I would say that they probably also brought that along. But not necessarily enough for a deep surgery kind of situation.
And based on Feather's description, did it seem like a deep surgery kind of situation?
From what they described, it's more of a time to rest situation, as in the healing process has already started, but it takes time.
I think Yura feels the cough simmering just in the center of their throat, and so does a small waving motion to try and catch one of the group's attention, and then gestures to step back away a bit.
I'll come towards you. What is it?
Sorry.
To the lion.
The one that's injured. If we could get you closer to them, maybe. I know it's likely to heal on its own, but if we could... if we could inspire perhaps some goodwill among the lion, then maybe it won't try to rip into us quite so quickly.
We can try. If the lion's injury requires rest, and I wonder if it affected the winged bird, and everything seems connected. The food source, the smoke, the feeling of hopelessness and grief felt by the lion spread out to the villagers, and then to Sava, and then to you. Maybe if we can help the lion feel better, we can save a lot more people. Maybe I'm just wishful thinking.
No, I believe you, and I are aligned.
The lion takes a step closer to you guys.
I'm gonna just start to come back onto all fours and just approach the other lion, like I did the one before, and almost be in the form of a cub, to inspire sympathy from the injured lion themselves, and in that way try to approach it. And while that's happening, we'll also reach into the pack and try to find some poultices that she has on her person.
I'm also wondering, do we have any food with us that's not mushroom based? Jerky or something?
That's a good question. In your heart of hearts, do you think you would have brought that along?
I think maybe, but not as a provision, so much as a this like jerky is something that Sahvarine very much enjoys, and she kind of sneaks some away when she can as a snack.
Okay. Alethea, can you roll me something to try to get that cub effect? You can use your bonus from one of your previous memories. Zero successes. There is something about the whole coughing situation that seems to have put the lion on edge. I would say that Sahvarine, if you want to use your travel jerky to try to soothe him, you can try. It is going to be a difficult roll.
Okay. I would like to try, and I would like to, if I may, invoke my +2 for the animal behavior.
Absolutely. Interesting.
Dang it!
5 dice, 0 success.
Just my luck.
The fact that they're all twos.
I
Yep,
know.
they're all twos. That's beautiful. You reach into your pack and start to get a little bit closer, hand first, with some of the jerky. And the lion is just staring daggers, going until it actually actively pounds towards you and gives a huge slash. You are now beaten as you are being pushed to the side with a huge gash onto your torso. You start to bleed profusely, not to a point where you're in danger of dying, but there is a big lion currently on top of you. The rest of you, what are you doing?
This is an interesting time to create a positive memory.
Yes. Do tell.
They are reaching arms that do not have fingers, but are grabbing onto a large crate, almost as in a bear hug. They are lifting it quite easily and moving it across to load it onto a truck, back and again. And again, there is a pat on the shoulder as they come down, less the shoulder, more the elbow. But as they come down to grab hold, someone says, "All right, good job, bud." Not meaning it in any way, but it sparks something in the mind. Good job. This job, holding on to this, is the most important thing that I have ever done. And I'm good at it. And so I think in this moment, Yura is going to try and rush forward and grab hold of the lion to pull it off of Sahvarine.
Okay, how good of a memory was that for you? How many points are you going to spend?
I'll spend 2 memory points.
Okay, so that would make it +1 to carry heavy stuff. And you guys see Yura just rush forward and grab the thing, which is absolutely massive. It is muscle and bones without a shred of fat. And you just carry it to the side and almost pin it to a nearby wall. It is trying to gnaw at you and to actually snap at you, but right now you're carrying it and you're blocking it. The rest of you have a brief moment where the lion is not a concern to you. Is there something you would like to do in that small window of time?
Get up again.
I wonder if the poultice I had like some kind of anesthesia effect. And I would like to slap it on the wound to try to make it feel better. Or like soporific, make it feel drowsy and just better in general.
I mean, yes, we have established that it is easing the stress and easing the pain, so we wouldn't be far-fetched for that. So are you applying that to the one being currently carried or the wounded one in the forest?
The wounded one.
The wounded one, so you would rush to the forest and apply the poultice. The moment
Yes.
you rush toward it, you see that it is weak. That lion, albeit a little bit bigger than the one that Yura is currently handling, it is currently extremely weak, and it's trying to just reach and claw, but the energy just eludes them, and you can very easily put the poultice on. It was so weak that it does start to doze off a little bit. You hear this moaning of pain and exhaustion, but it seems to be slowing down their rhythm, their breathing. It seems to help in a way.
And I think while still there, I'm going to make some sound, feline sound that indicates satisfaction and comfort towards the other lion to try to get its attention, so that it stops feeling agitated and stop attacking my friends.
Hearing sounds coming from the side, coming from where the other lion is, Yura, you can see that the lion is turning their head and is trying to wiggle away from you. Are you keeping the grasp or releasing them?
I'm keeping hold of the grasp.
Okay, I'm gonna need a roll for that. You can use your bonus that you just acquired, because this is going to be a rodeo situation.
Wonderful.
With
success.
one success, you manage to keep a hold on it and basically have your arm around its massive neck, and it just rushes around on towards the other one while you just yeehaw to the side. And as it reaches just a few meters away from Alethea, you just basically plant your feet onto the ground and just stop him and make sure that he doesn't go any further. You did manage to slow it down. You're not sure you're gonna keep your hold very long on it, mind you, but you do keep the hold enough for it to notice that the other one doesn't seem to be in danger with Alethea. You do notice a bit of doubt and confusion. It seems to be struggling a little bit less. Do you keep the hold or do you release?
Yura is going to, seeing that it's hesitating, slowly release the hold a bit. Please, no, we're just trying to help.
As you gently release, it just keeps, it completely ignores you at that point. It's staring into Alethea's eyes and just slowly creeps up, growling, and its eyes just look at their mate on the floor and back at you, Alethea. What would the lion see in your eyes right now?
I think Alethea is thinking back to what the older man said in the village. This defiance against death, this unwillingness to stop. And I think Alethea's eyes almost shift into this cat-like shape in the reflection of the lion. And what he sees is, or rather what he hears is this growl. Not to threat, not a threatening growl, but rather a declaration of defiance, and to try to get this lion to not lose hope in a way. I think her theory is somehow, some way, this lion's depression, I guess, looking at their mate suffering, as well as the injured lions. And the injured lion, like noticing their mate's hopelessness, is kind of feeding onto each other. This vicious cycle of submission and acceptance, and she's trying to get them to get out of that cycle. I don't know if any of that makes sense.
It
But
does.
that's what she's trying to convey.
It does. I would say I will need a role for you to convey that, but the circumstances, the way that Yura released the grasp, the fact that you didn't fight back as much, Sahvarine, with everything. Nothing is really threatening from you at this point, so I would say you can roll with an additional 2 dice.
Oh, nice. Then I think
In addition to your bonus.
Yeah. Then I will have so many.
Which did not help Sahvarine earlier, but it did help you with 2 successes. There is a moment of calm that is very slowly going on. The lion is getting closer, but does not seem to want to attack. It releases their stare on you to stare at the mate instead. And they start to lie down next to the injured lion and starts to either purr or moan, you're not exactly sure, but they're doing it in unison. Right now, they don't seem to be a threat to any of you. But one thing you notice is that the smoke itself is still present. It is still especially emanating from the one who is hurt and injured. If that is indeed the cause of the illness, you might have a choice to make. Because from your estimate, it would probably take them an additional 2 weeks to heal enough to go away. But in these 2 weeks, many people might die from that. So what would you like to do regarding the situation?
Is there any way to lead them towards somewhere? Like to somewhere that is disconnected to the rest of the community so that they couldn't affect the people as much?
The healthy one you might. The injured one is too weak to move at this point.
Would it be possible to build some kind of trolley or platform to put the injured one on and sort of move it? That might be a tall order, but since it's so weak, it might accept just being like placed on it and moving it.
You
I'm
could
wondering
try.
if Yura could gently carry it because they're so good at it.
Yura is very strong.
I would say that you could, and there's definitely enough of branch-like materials nearby for you to craft something, after a roll, of course. The only concern you might have right now is how much it would affect Yura and the infection, being so close to the source. But given a few hours, you probably would be able to craft something to move the injured lion away.
Is there any way in the meantime, while the crafting project is happening, is there any way to somehow collect the smoke to like funnel it somewhere so that it's not blowing in anybody's face.
Roll me something to try to come up with a crafty solution, unless you have one on hand.
I think her best solution right now is just kind of use the very large, like doll-like hem of her skirt to like create a wind tunnel to like blow the smoke towards one particular direction.
Yeah. In that case, I'm not gonna ask you to roll because that seems crafty enough to me, and you can definitely work that out. It's not going to be completely smoke-proof for sure, but enough for the illness to not progress too much on Yura. Who would be responsible for crafting the wheelbarrow, basically?
I just wanted to add, I think I would also be giving some fabric to Yura to cover their face, like to cover themselves from the smoke, because I'll also be busy bandaging myself.
Fair enough.
I'm happy to take charge of the wheelbarrow project.
Okay. Roll for wheelbarrow. Great, one success. It takes you the better part of 3 hours to make something big and sturdy enough for it to carry that creature. It is going to be long and arduous. You are, however, aware now that Yura is pretty good at lifting stuff. So getting it away will take some time, but will definitely help. That might result on some, a little bit more downtime needed for the lion, but you get the feeling that you probably took them away enough for their influence not to reach the village. But that took quite some time. Yura, you are coughing your lungs out. It started slowing down after you started to walk away from the lions and not being in the direct contact, but it's going to take some time to recover. Would you guys do something else before notifying the village or the convoy? What would you do about that after dealing with the lions?
I would like to go look for some like things to help Yura clear their throats, or like lozenge, things that could serve in place of a lozenge.
Okay, yeah, trying to find some soothing stuff for their throat. Absolutely.
Antitussants.
Yeah, that. You can roll for it if you want. You can add your bonus for the various mixtures if you want. Okay, 2 successes. You definitely find something using part of what you already gathered to make sure that it soothes the sort of irritation of the throat. It really helps. It tastes disgusting, mind you, but at the moment it really, really helps. This, with 2 successes, this is something you could also use in the village to try to help out the people who are the most afflicted. Some of them you have seen are too far along to really be able to recover from it, but the people who are still in the early stages would definitely be helped by that. Would you also
make sure
take time
to like
yeah
I was gonna like make sure to save some to bring back to Sava and possibly Mikhail.
Would you also take time to sort of educate the village on how to provide themselves with this kind of mixture, or?
Yeah.
Okay. Good. When you return to the convoy, Sava has definitely worsened. It took a long time, and when you come back, they are borderline not responsive, but with the various mixtures and lozenges that you have crafted, and the fact that the influence seems to be further away now, eventually they get better. Eventually Yura gets better. And I would say that Sava and you probably have this sort of kinship that started developing, knowing that you both went very, very close from dying from this. The convoy eventually started to resume their initial trek towards the biggest city nearby. You cannot help but notice sometimes that during your trek something seems to be watching you from afar, but it seems very, very less ominous now. And before you reach the city and you're about to take your separate ways from the rest of the convoy, Yura, Sava comes to you, gives you a big hug, and just whispers in your ear, "Someone in the convoy knows who you are. You should take your friends and run before we reach the city. I don't know what would await you there. Please be careful, okay?"
Thank you, Sava.
Thank you. Be well. She releases the hug, gives you a very knowing glance. You know what it means that somebody knows what you are. This is not good news. Even the kindest of people sometimes just are attracted to the gain, the rewards for bringing a vagabond to not nice people. Is there something you would like to do before parting ways with the convoy?
I think that Feather would like to craft some little trinket, maybe carve something into the shape of a lion and leave it in Mikhail's special spot.
Okay.
Sahvarine would leave fungi in the care of Mikhail.
Okay. Alethea?
I think Alethea will will create or sing a song that's both ancient and for the first time something new, and will leave it to someone who was in the care of Sava, and so that a new memory can be created from her and not from someone else.
Okay. How about you, Yura?
With what Sava said, I think Yura just leaves a note where the captain can find it. May you find your path in the light always.
All right. As you four vagabonds take your own path from now on, here's what you do not see. From under the carriage of the transport unit, in their very special spot, Mikhail notices the little sculpture, the little lion, not having any clue what it means at this point, but he likes it. He likes it nonetheless. He starts to give scritches to fungi, appreciating their conversation or lack thereof. And almost without wanting to, whenever he hears Sava humming Yura's tune, he starts to hum along. It's his way of connecting with people, and eventually he'll get better at it. But that is for their story to go. You have another one. And this is where we will stop for today's session of Nibiru. Thank you so much, lovely people. I appreciate the heck out of all of you. And thank you also, all of you who have watched today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it got you a little bit curious about the game as well. It's a different vibe, a different feeling. So feel free to give them a look. Say hi to Araukana from us, because they did a fantastic job. And most of all, hey, follow Euphoria. We're pretty great. There's like all the usual shenanigans, like subscribe, go to either Patreon, Discord. Don't hesitate. Come join us. We're all very fun. I mean, me most of all, but most of them. I will just leave the floor to the players in case you have some, stuff on your end you would like to talk about. Any project that you're going to be a part of?
You can find me on Blue Sky and Instagram at Maddie is Abstract, and you can also find my podcast, A Game of One's Own, which is a solo and duet TTRPG podcast, most places where podcasts are listened to. And you can also hear the wonderful Ren as a guest on 4 episodes, which it comprise our actual play of Tangled Blessings, a magical dark academia tale. So if you want more of our lovely voices, you can head on over there.
You can find me at Maskren on Blue Sky and TikTok. Currently, I am in, as Maddie said, our playthrough of Tangled Blessings. I am also currently on the bad spot with a playthrough of a game that does not yet exist fully, called The Lands Remaining, which is an elegiac mystery game made by The Gauntlet.
Ooh.
You can find me on Blue Sky as Burdick Inspiration, or on Instagram as Rhino Riddler. If you want to play more games with me, I'm a pro GM on startplaying.games as the Lantern Keeper. On Tuesday evenings, currently, I'm in a streamed Girl by Moonlight game on Streaming Rainbow's channel. On Thursday evenings, I am in Nerds with Dice channel's Vesson game featuring Celtic and Irish mythologies. On Sundays, bi-weekly, I am in a Star Wars game on Vault Companions channel, and in a Wolf Among Us game, which is hacked from Kids on Bike or Kids on Brooms, set in the Wolf Among Us universe.
On my end, you can find me under Wasitum in any website you want. If you see Wasitum, it's probably me. Fair warning, most of my content is in French, but there are some English stuff going on here and there. Maybe some of them with people you might have seen today. Just saying. And in the meantime, I wish you all a very, very good time zone, and see you very soon. Bye.